Mark Donaldson, Janusz Michallik with you for this one. On today's show, Manchester United. We've heard from Ruben Amorim today, just a few days after we heard from him at the weekend, saying this was potentially the worst Manchester United team ever. So no doubt the press conference today was very busy. Before I introduce Janusz and get to the Manchester United chat, let's hear from the man himself when he spoke after the weekend defeat against Brighton and when he met the press, including ESPN FC's Rob Dawson, earlier today to preview tomorrow's European game against Rangers.
We need to survive this moment because I'm not naive and I know that we need to survive now. So we are being the worst team maybe in history of Manchester United.
First of all, I want to talk about that. I was talking more for myself than from my players because I was talking that, and you have to find out a coach that starts a job and lose 8 games, I think, 7 games in the first 10. So it's more for me. I was talking more about me than the players. I'm frustrated sometimes, and sometimes I should not say that in that terms, but it is what it is, and that's it. Sometimes it's really hard to hide the frustration in some moments. But the good thing is that I said the same things in a different way in the dressing room 5 minutes before.
Hello, Janusz. Let's get down to business today. This isn't lost in translation. Ruben Amorim's English is very good. Is it possibly him trying to speak in his non-familiar tongue and just losing the context slightly, but giving the English journals some really good headlines?
Yeah, it's a cry for help for himself and for the team. I think, no, I don't think this is lost in translation. I can understand the frustration. I'd worry a little bit. And of course, I think that Ruben Amorim should be there and deserves the right to have his own team. I don't know how long that's going to take, and I don't know how much time he's going to get because this is Manchester United. The fact of the matter is that this Manchester United has stopped reacting to every coach they've had. Maybe Ruud van Nistelrooy for those couple of games where they played. They seem like they had fun, but even with Ruben Amorim, I mean, you look at the sample right now. I don't know if it's enough, but it's plenty, and they're not listening to him. And part of that, I suppose, is because they're individually, most of them are poor players. He knew that getting in, but I think realization. It's funny, Mark, right? I mean, you think you know, but until you get there, you truly don't know. So it's interesting for him, but I don't think we can let him off the hook just that easily to look for, is it lost in translation or what it may be. I mean, this is as poor as it gets.
Can Manchester United be fixed in a quick way with Ruben Amorim, or how do you fix them?
I don't see how. This is the team that I wouldn't trust, right? And this is probably the biggest problem. Forget the transfer market. We'll get to that to the second. Obviously getting the players that fit your system and fit the way you like them in terms of players and characters and all of that. But when you have a team that chooses when they can play, right? It can't be trusted. It's not a proper team. That's the problem right now. That's because, we've seen reactions against Liverpool, against Arsenal, and yet we've seen, what they do at Old Trafford. You were telling me, and I'll let you do that with all the games at Old Trafford. They lose the first goal against some poor teams. That tells you everything. And that's why I think, Mark, is it fixable? Everything's fixable. It is Manchester United, but I think this is going to take a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked that up, because something else Amorim said this morning was that the players are struggling at Old Trafford specifically. And what I said to you off air is this, that United have conceded the first goal in their last 5 games at Old Trafford. Now, with that, you think, okay, fine. You've spoken about how they've played well against Liverpool and Arsenal. But here are the 5 teams that they've conceded first against at Old Trafford: Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Southampton, and Brighton. So why are they as bad as they are right now? And why are they struggling at Old Trafford, especially, and that is the words of Ruben Amorim?
Lack of mentality, lack of character. What was the struggle? You want to play against your own supporters. Remember how teams usually reacted when Manchester United were great, when they were coming. Of course, players put that pressure. When you have a good team, the opposition comes in probably thinking that you're going to lose. But are you telling me for the likes of Bournemouth and some of the other teams, it's easy to go away anywhere in the Premier League and play, and play freely? No, it isn't. I think they sense it. They know it, that the quality is not there, but most importantly, that there isn't a mentality or character in these players. As I've said, the worst possible team is the sort of team that chooses when they want to play. And even then, it's not like they're a great team, but they obviously, I mean, if I'm Amorim, I'm thinking after all this time, says these players, not only are they not good enough, but they don't even want to listen. I mean, are they intelligent enough to say, okay, this is the way, this is how we're going to have to move on. So yeah, that would be a big worry for me, because, that's, I don't care how good of a coach you are, how good of a communicator you are. And from everything that we know, he's an excellent communicator. He can make fun of himself a little bit as well. I think I like his predisposition, when you even listen to him in comparison to Erik ten Hag. But if you look at the results and the way they play, is it any different? Is it any better than that of Ten Hag? So that's a little bit of a worry, although I still have full trust in Amorim that ultimately, he'll get that team better, but only, Mark, if he becomes more flexible.
Are the players too soft?
Well, yeah, I'm entirely too soft. I mean, softness is a funny thing. You're hard and you're sure of yourself when you know you have the quality. But when you look around and you look at for leaders, I mean, I suspect there's 2 or 3 players that know. They probably say similar things that don't get out in the dressing room. But I just think when you're not good, you know it inside the dressing room, right? You look around and you know who you can count on, and you know the sort of quality they can bring. I would almost say, how many game changers are in that team? Because when you struggle, there's always that 1 or 2 or 3 players that you down know that they can get you out of trouble. That's even a bigger problem, because softness is a funny thing. Yeah, a lot of them obviously are very, very soft for Manchester United to be where they are. But there's always that, 3 or 4, whatever it may be, that even on a bad day, they can get a result when you need it.
Going to play a little bit of a game here right now, and the pair of us are going to have powers that no one else has ever been given before, and it's an ability to change a decision that we've made in the past. I don't know what mine would be. It doesn't matter. I don't know what yours would be. Where I'm going with this is, in the summer, Kieran McKenna had interest from elsewhere. The Ipswich manager decided, you know what, I've got a good thing here. I'm going to stay put, because if I keep doing well, there's going to be interest in me from many others down the line. So let's fast forward to November time. Erik ten Hag's under pressure. Manchester United approach, and Sporting, they allow permission for Amorim to speak to Manchester United. Do you think now, if he had that choice again, he would make the same decision? Or do you think he would do what Kieran McKenna did, stay with a successful side and know pretty much with certainty that he'll be sought after in the future, but Manchester United might be the right job, but at the wrong time?
No, I think it's ambition. I think he knew. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's made phone calls to many of the managers that were there before, that struggled, that thought that they could fix Manchester United, and he still made that decision. He probably didn't think it was going to be maybe as difficult as it has been for him, that maybe his ideas were going to be taken on board by the players a little bit quicker, a little bit better. But I don't think he changes his mind. In fact, I still think that it's the right decision if he's allowed to go and put together this team the way he wants it. And the only way is exactly what happened at Sporting Lisbon, because this Manchester United is not the same as the ones in the past, where they could have spent as much money as they wanted to, get anybody as they wanted to, because they all want to play for Manchester United. That's not happening. So the only way to happen is to get these players that are not obvious, right? Some young players that he trusts that are going to get better and fit his ideas, and that's what we're going to see: younger players and players without big names that can bring United back. And by the way, I think I would have done it the same way, even if the big names wanted to come. I think right now the last thing that Ruben Amorim needs is 3 or 4 or 5 big egos coming in saying, I'll make it happen. I'll make it. I just don't think that would work anyway.
But the youngsters that have come in have got a lot of talent, but you need someone who's going to help them. You need someone alongside them that's going to help them learn on the field. So what should Manchester United's recruitment strategy be? You've just said you don't want egos or too many of them coming into the football club. But on the other hand, you can't keep buying potential in the hope that 2 or 3 years from now, they will fulfill their potential. You want to buy someone right now who is at the top of their game. And if that means an ego, then so be it.
Yeah, but not in a literal sense. Obviously, you need some experience around the team, and you have some of that. I mean, he's not going to be able to get rid of everybody, right? He knows by now who are the players that he wants in the trenches next to him, when it gets tough. So I think he understands that. And of course, if there's a leader, but it's got to be a special leader, a leader that maybe understands, what it means to win, an experienced player that comes in and understand how big of a mountain this is, right? Because if you're coming in thinking, well, we're going to be winning trophies, that's not going to happen right away. So you have to convince somebody that maybe in years to come, people and fans are going to remember, you, meaning the big name, coming in at a time that it wasn't so obvious that things are going to be easy. So, who those players are at this moment, even if you ask me, I have no answer for that.
If the team is soft, as we've spoken about, whether it's physically or mentally, you can't have one person putting everybody else on their shoulder, and the club in general with Bruno Fernandes. Is he the right choice for captain? And if not, then who?
At this stage, he's as good as any, although we if you listen to rumors, we've heard otherwise. I think, again, I'll repeat what I've said probably to you before. Yeah, when I look at his reaction sometimes, his body language and all of that, it's not always great, but maybe it's just that pure frustration that everybody feels. Just imagine being Bruno Fernandes, clearly their best player. I don't care what anybody says. A player that works his socks off just about every game that I watch him play, right? And that frustration is I was talking about crying for help. Yeah, I mean, give him somebody that he can trust, that he knows right away. Okay, this player knows, right? I mean, we all have had our say about body language, and Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United, second goal anywhere else. Bruno Fernandes. Mark, you and I have watched Portugal recently, haven't we?
Yes.
Live playing against Scotland and playing against Poland. And let me tell you what, if you think he's a good player, look at him around, some of the, those Portuguese players that could put 3 squads out there and be play well. And it was incredible to watch him.
We've had a few questions in from people watching, Man United fans watching this, and one I really think is intriguing. And it's kind of, have they let the wrong players go? And maybe you can reword it. Some of the players they've let go, when you see what they go on to and the success that they're having elsewhere, not so much Jadon Sancho, but Scott McTominay. Now, Scott McTominay's not a sexy name, right? He's not someone that, oh, wow, Scott McTominay's in town, I need to go and see the team he's playing for. He's someone who epitomizes, whether he's playing for Scotland, Napoli, or whoever, he's the ultimate team player, and he gets goals as well. So have they made a mistake with some of the players that they've let go? Should they have let others go before some of the ones that they have?
Sure. I mean, if you look at Scott McTominay, he's integral to everything that Napoli does. I spoke with somebody in Italy just to make sure. Obviously, my eyes and your eyes are probably not deceiving you the way he's played. But one person that I respect has said, if Napoli wins the Scudetto this year, it'll be because of Scott McTominay. Now, that's a big statement. Wow. That's a massive, massive statement. And, Antonio Conte recognized that, right? I mean, he went after a player that's hardworking. Garnacho, by the way, it's, Conte is going after him as well, because he probably understands in that game a little bit slower, a little bit more tactical. He's still young enough that he can mold him. Conte will always feel like that about a player. But obviously, look, he came into, if you look at McTominay, speaking of a big club that waited 30 years to win the Scudetto after Diego Maradona has done it so many years ago, right? And, in the meantime, they lost players like Zielinski, they lost players like Osimhen, they just lost Kvaratskhelia, right? And just this past weekend, they went away to Atalanta and won their 3-2 as well. So for Scott McTominay to be in the midfield, Anguissa and especially Lobotka are spectacular. So you have three players that I would imagine that if Amorim can get the likes of Anguissa, Lobotka, and McTominay, he'd say, where do I sign?
I want to try and end the Man United segment of today's ESPN FC Live before we get onto the Premier League title chat on a high, on a positive note for Manchester United. It's going to be difficult, right? They're 13th in the table, and what they have right now is they're just another team in the Premier League. And for those of a certain vintage that were used to trophy after trophy after trophy, it's hard to take. Now, the best managers are also the managers that can improve players. You've spoken, we've discussed that quite a bit today and on previous shows about Manchester United individual players, whether it's soft, a mentality issue as well. Do you think, and given what we've seen with other managers being able to make players better, the players that you kind of thought, I mean, look at Gravenberch at Liverpool, right? How on earth is he what he is now compared to what he was? Can Amorim have the same impression on his players as someone like Arne Slot's had on Gravenberch? He's going to have to do it with more than just the one of them. But can he do it, or is this something that takes time to do?
Well, it does, but he's going to have to do it. I mean, he has no choice. He's a manager of Manchester United, and as safe as we think he is, and part of that is that I suspect that even Manchester United at some stage, will have to reflect and say, well, how many managers can we possibly have? We've had so many in such a short period of time, but he's not off the hook. He's going to have to, I talked about that flexibility. I mean, it's easy to go, well, change the system. Well, he loves that system. But yeah, I'd like to see in some game that maybe if nothing works and this continues, he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to play smarter, right? And he's going to have to convince players to do the work that's required to get the results. Because at this stage, I don't think anybody's asking for a beautiful way of playing for Manchester United. That's not going to happen. He doesn't have the players, but he's got to get himself through that window, which is almost closed and doesn't look like he's going to get much help. Maybe there's going to be a player or two very, very late, but we're talking late now, right? And in the summer, I mean, how many players is he going to be able to get? Probably as many as he can get rid of, and that's not all that easy, as we all know. So pressure is on Amorim. Make zero mistake about that, because if he's expecting his players to play to his level, well, he's got to show everybody, the fans, and maybe even us, I guess, that he's capable of, as you said, of getting, that extra 1 or 2 or 3% out of every player. And collectively, if you were just to get 1% out of everybody, well, we're talking 11% on the pitch, right?
2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, and a Europa League since Sir Alex Ferguson left, under David Moyes, Ryan Giggs, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick, Ralf Rangnick, Erik ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ruben Amorim. Maybe it's time they give someone a period of time to actually try and do something with the football club, because it's pretty clear right now there's a number of talented managers in there and they've all had the same results. Time will tell with this one.